you have joined because you have made resolutions around financial management or starting to invest. And we're glad to know that you know where to find that kind of information or that kind of discussion where we can discuss around the topic of financial management. So thank you so much to our Facebook viewers. You're welcome. Remember, as Stone has mentioned, you can always send your comments and any charts that you may have as we go on with the presentation, and we will look at them. A quick look at the contents of my presentation. I'll start with a quick preamble. It will just simply remind us about who is talking to you, the SEC, and the structure of the financial markets. You'll get to understand why we want to introduce it, because obviously financial management is a cross-cutting issue, and we're not the only regulators. Just give me a second. Thank you. Sorry for that interruption. We will then go on to look at the importance of financial planning and setting smart financial goals. And if you are indeed have made your 2024 resolution and investing is part of it, we'll also run through some of the salient features that you need to do in order to achieve your goals in the year. So financial planning is one of the key concepts under the National Strategy on Financial Education. Like I mentioned, it's a cross-cutting issue, and it's almost an important and indispensable aspect to financial behavior. And it is important, and it is stipulated under the National Strategy on Financial Education, whose goal is to empower Zambians with knowledge, understanding, skills, motivation, confidence to help them to secure positive financial outcomes for themselves and their families. Financial planning obviously involves setting SMART financial goals, and we'll look at what that acronym SMART is standing for very soon in the presentation. But basically, it really looks at being very deliberate about how money is managed for it to make meaning to your life and make you better off. Achieving financial independence is obviously very admirable, and those who do well, we look up to them. But many people don't know how to go about it. So this is one of the commendable things that anybody can do, is to join in such discussions where we can together explore how we can go about that. So through the National Strategy on Financial Education, there are guidelines that have been developed that are seen as priority areas for every Zambian to know, so that they can be considered to be financially literate. And some of these include the topics that are very critical to financial literacy or financial education, include financial literacy itself. And of course, financial literacy is just that ability to understand, to develop the skills to take up financial opportunities and use them to become financially healthy. Other topics include earnings, and I've highlighted financial planning because I need to show that it's a very key area under financial education, and this is what we're discussing today. We do have saving, budget and spending wisely, loans, investing, insurance, microinsurance, keeping financial records, and all these are targeted at different target groups. We do have the children, the youth, the adults, those in work, those outside work, those in schools and those outside schools. So it's a very comprehensive document, and with very well thought through priorities in terms of what people must know to be financially literate. So very quickly, the SEC is, you need to know us and appreciate us. So the SEC is a regulator of the capital markets in Zambia. It is obviously mandated by an act of parliament, which is CAP, the Securities Act number 41. I do want to take you to where it's coming from. You can read that. This is the Securities Act number 41 of 2016, and that has been amended and continued by the Act number 21 of 2022. The very brief or simplified or summarized mandate is to ensure the protection of investors, that is individual investors, institutional investors all included, and also ensuring that the markets in which these investments are being undertaken are fair, transparent, and efficient. And then we also have the mandate to develop the markets and conduct educational awareness, which makes this town meeting part of that function. Opportunities in the capital markets, of course, as I'm sure we are all aware, is that it provides a wide range of opportunities for which individuals and institutional investors can invest in. They can trade and raise capital using various asset classes and financial instruments, which are basically broadly categorized under equity and debt instrument. Equity being shares, which is quite well developed in our market, also called stocks, and also debt instruments. And I'm sure everybody has heard about bonds. And these bonds do come in different types. We have corporate bonds, municipal bonds, and government bonds under the government securities. We do have other a little bit more complicated or still you might want to know. We have debentures, we have other securities, and we also have collective investment schemes, a very interesting savings or investment product. And we have exchange-traded funds. We did discuss quite a bit in the last year about the options in the capital markets. And should you wish to just refresh yourself, I'm sure you can find these resources on our Facebook page and also a YouTube page. We ensure that we keep them so that you can go back to them. And how is the structure of the Zambian financial sector? We have the Ministry of Finance and National Planning as the government body to which we report to. And the structure is under three pillars, which is the money markets, and these are regulated by the Bank of Zambia. The capital markets regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, as just discussed. And we have Pensions and Insurance Authority being the regulator. And I'm deliberately mentioning this because even during our discussions, there will be certain key topics or points that we will have to refer to these specialized institutions or regulators, and only keep to discussing in detail issues of investment which fall under our ambit as the Securities and Exchange Commission. So together we implement national financial sector policies that are cross-cutting in nature because, of course, these are specialized, but everybody needs to get the benefit of what they are and how they can work for them. But because of their specialized nature, we have specific regulators that are overseeing that they are being provided in an efficient manner in the market. And of course, we know the Ministry of Finance, it has the function to ensure that they take care of our economy in general, things like economic management, resource mobilization, debt management, and public finance, basically, in general. So this poster is just to put emphasis in how important the topic for today is. Last year, together with all the financial sector regulators, we commemorated the Financial Literacy Week, and we always do that. Even this year, we shall do that. In fact, we've been doing that for over 10 years now. And the topic was Plan Your Money, Plant Your Future, which is what we almost are trying to say today as you look into your 2024 resolutions. If indeed investing or planning your money or becoming a better manager of your, taking part of your financial well-being, you are looking to learning about how you can plan your money. And when you do that, you're definitely planting into your future for growth. So let's now discuss the importance of financial planning. And very quickly, financial planning helps you with goal alignment. Financial planning helps individuals align their financial decisions with their life goals and priorities. You might want to think of it as needs. What are your financial needs? And needs can come from your key life events, for example. There are certain things that you are definitely going to have to pay for in your life, and you need to really address how you're going to do that. You might want, if you're looking at the year, for example, we are discussing the year 2024, this is January, and you know that there's things that are indispensable that you need to pay for. For example, you have your accommodation issues, your rentals or mortgages, or you have ambitions that are longer term. You want to buy a car, for example, you want to buy a house. You then need to do some sort of reverse engineering to the present moment. How are you going to ensure that you actually save and invest enough money to manage to meet your goals, your financial goals? We know that in Zambia, we make fun about it, that January is coming, schools are coming. But with after this discussion, or after you do your financial planning, hopefully the next term coming, nobody will be anxious about how they meet the needs to pay for the schools for the children, or for yourself, or even actually meet any financial need or goal that you have. Next, we discuss is budgeting and expense management, which is similar to what we have been discussing. It involves creating a budget. A budget is a financial tool that is very critical for tracking income and expenses. So this helps individuals understand their spending patterns, identify areas of saving, and ensure that they live within their means. Another way of looking at budgeting, especially if you are aiming to serve, is to also help you understand whether your income currently meets your aspirations. And then you can look at whether you need to find other ways in which you can actually be earning money to meet those financial needs. And some of the financial goals or needs that you may have this year is simply to start investing. So how do you find the money to invest can only be achieved if you actually undertake to do planning, to do budgeting, and to see where your expenses are going, understand where your income is coming, understand where you can change or save so that you have enough money to allocate to your investing goals. We continue with the importance of financial planning and what other critical areas that it can help us with is with risk management. When we do financial planning, we look at managing our risks, such as, and we can do that through the creation of an emergency fund, or even taking up insurance products. And of course, with insurance products, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to really go into its typical sense or understanding it more, you'll have to engage with the pensions and insurance authority. They are very well versed with this insurance, and this is what they do. But of course, an emergency fund will cut across everyone. It simply means that you need to be dropping some amount of money into a fund which will help you in case of emergent needs. For example, you can find that you lose a job or you need to take care of your health, which has suddenly, maybe you suddenly have an ailment that needs some attention with quite some huge sums of money. And it's important that anybody is found ready at any point to handle their financial needs, even those that come suddenly without warning. We know that all those come, even death, for example, is part of those things that we never really plan for, but we have to manage it when it strikes. Financial planning will also help with the wealth accumulation. By systematically saving and investing, financial planning facilitates the accumulation of wealth over time. It enables us to take advantage of compounding returns, increasing their overall financial well-being. And I think later in the presentation, we'll have an example of how this can be done. Debt management. Financial planning helps individuals manage and reduce debt effectively. Debt is an issue. You may have seen it come even as a topic that has been prioritized under the guidelines for financial education. Managing debt effectively will help individuals to obviously be able to even manage investing. Because if you are paying too much money to your debts, you might find that you are eroding your income and paying it to interest on your loans or on any debt instruments that you have taken up. You need to be able to understand how that is affecting your financial well-being. So in summary, financial planning helps you create a foundation for decisions and helps you become aware of issues that you may not be aware of. You may want to also look at what is affecting your money growing, and these could be things that are coming outside your control, but you could actually do something about it. For example, you could look at taxation. As you go on to understand financial management, you could also look at the effect of inflation on your money and what strategies you can actually undertake to help you stay above the effects of those environmental factors or economic factors that are outside your realm of control. Okay, we now discuss, we move to discussing setting smart financial goals. And of course, that's just emphasis that successful saving and investing starts with the dedication to financial planning. That cannot be overemphasized. Setting financial goals. I'm sorry. Help us to just really get clarity. The first is SMART, of course, is an acronym, and I'm sure most of us have come across this acronym before. So S is standing for specific, clearly stating your goal. So what that first aspect stands for, helps us to do is to have clarity and focus. We need to be clear about the financial needs that we have and that we need to achieve. I just talked about meeting educational financial obligations earlier on in my example. That must be stated very clearly in terms of how much you actually need to pay in order to meet this goal of getting an education or paying for school fees. It shouldn't be vague. It should be very, very clear. You need to articulate we need to get rid of being generic. You just don't say, as you do your planning this year, or you will need to write these things down and put figures to them so that you're very clear about what obligations you have to meet and how much it will take for you to meet those things, those obligations. In other ways, quantify them. It helps you to give focus and clarity to what you need to achieve. And so if, for example, we do have our terms and they are 3 months, and I know that I need to pay maybe 5,000 kwacha for my child going to school in April, I'll then look back to the present moment, do some reverse engineering there where I need to probably divide that amount by the 3 months, and then I'll begin to allocate that amount into a fund, which I set aside for education, so that by the time it is coming to be due for payment, I'll simply, of course, allocate that money, as it were. We have an M, which means measurable, on the SMART acronym. And this is, of course, meaning we have to ensure that you can measure your success. It's important to track the progress that you're making. You must be very interested in tracking the progress. This is a measurability. It enhances accountability, motivating you to take consistent actions toward achieving your financial objectives. So if you're putting your money into an instrument such as a savings account, you need to be watching your statements quite frequently to see that everything is going according to your plan. You need to be checking that the value of your money is staying intact. You need to be checking that the fees that are associated with the financial product that you have chosen, if it's a savings account or an investment account, are actually not impacting negatively on your goal or on your target for the savings amount or the amount that you need to actually meet your obligations. We have A, which means attainable or achievability. These we are encouraged to set goals that we know that we can achieve. So if you need to ensure that those targets that are you set yourself, of course, stretch objectives or challenging goals, but that which are within your capacity. And this helps to foster a sense of accomplishment and confidence when you achieve them. Otherwise, it can be a very frustrating business to want to acquire a home, for example, in 1 year, and you just can't achieve that. You might get that sense of failure. So it's important that as you do your financial planning, you set stretch objectives or challenging ones, but that which are achievable. The R is standing for relevant. Set goals relevant to your career or education. In terms of financial planning, we say SMART goals are relevant to an individual's key life events, values, and priorities. They help align financial objectives with what truly matters, promoting a sense of purpose and motivation. So this is very important, to be aligned to what values you have for your life and what truly matters, instead of going outside your values. If you had joined us earlier, you may have watched one of the videos that speaks to money and how what you spend money on. Is it valuable? Is it adding to your happiness, for example? Is it adding to your misery? And all those aspects must be weighed so that you can achieve relevant goals to your planning. We have the last one, which is time-bound, time-based goals. Setting deadlines for SMART goals introduces a sense of agency This time-bound aspect will encourage you to take timely actions and consistently work toward your financial objectives. This is very advisable and good financial behavior, because as you go on endeavoring to plan and actually sticking to your plan, you find that you start changing your behavior to ensure that you are sticking to your plan. And we call these good financial habits. So you need to be able to stick to your plan and ensure that you meet it by the time that you planned for. There are no hard and fast rules. Sometimes things can change. You need to assess what is happening. I remember we also talked about the emergency fund. It just simply recognizes the fact that sometimes plans can be wobbled. You can actually find that something else comes and just sweeps the entire savings that you had actually put together to achieve a specific goal. That is why, in fact, we say even the emergency fund should be separate from the fund that is targeted at achieving specific goals, so that your plan can stay on track. Otherwise, you can still be adaptable and flexible to changing circumstances. So I'm guessing that you are here because you have your resolution to start investing in this year. So how do you go about it? And very quickly, this is revision. We did have a lot of this discussion from a financial advisor who addressed us in the town hall meeting last month, but we can do some revision. You can also find what we are going to discuss in the document that we circulated, and I think we will circulate it again. It's called the SEC Guide to Saving and Investment. It's a hard copy, and also a soft copy. If you would like a hard copy, you can come through to the Securities and Exchange Commission. We can give you one. And if you want, you can still find it as a soft copy, and you can even share it with others. So where do you start when you want to start investing? You need to understand where you are. This is also called understanding your net worth. You need to look at what you're owing, understand, and these are called liabilities. Are they greater than your assets that you have? If liabilities are greater than the assets you have, then you're in a negative net worth position. Usually, this is not a very good place to start investing, because you need to meet these financial obligations. And sometimes if you don't meet them, you might incur more debt through penalties. So we encourage that you first start by managing that negative net worth position, if indeed it's affecting your ability to start investing. So there's a demonstration. Just to help you understand. You have your assets on the one side, and you can put the values. And assets can be cash. You put the money you have in the bank under that column, and this could be in your checking account. You can put the money you have in your savings, cash value of your insurance, for example, the retirement accounts, real estate. What do you have? Do you own a house or houses, buildings, and other property? You need to put the value of those assets that you have and total it up. And then you go to your liabilities, another column, and you need to put the liability. Are you financing a mortgage right now, or do you have a loan? Other kinds of loans could be a bank loan, car loan, student loans, which have been effected here in Zambia. a lot of people are paying the student loans. You need to be very, very detailed to understand your position. And you put the amounts there, and then the difference, if it's positive, then you are in a positive net worth position. It means that you have extra money that you can actually start putting in an investment product. Secondly, you need to set a budget and stick to it. We discussed the importance of budgeting. You need to of course, have it as a financial habit and stick to it. It's one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Every month or every so often, you can have your monthly budgets, especially if you're a monthly earner. You can have your quarterly budgets, your biannual budget. You can even have your annual budget. It's up to you, really. So what's just important is that you need to budget, because your budget will inform you of the things that you need to meet, and you need to be smart about it. Remember the SMART acronym. You need as a key issues to successfully budget and make it realistic. Do not try to slash your expenses overnight. This might be frustrating, but you need indeed to look to where you can actually cut down in order to meet your savings or investing goals. Most of the time, we are spending on unnecessary expenses, or expenses which we can actually do in a different way and save money. We'll see an example shortly of how you can save money, and what comes to my mind quickly is whether you have to buy your lunch out every day, or you can actually sometimes make your own lunch and eat healthy food. So the third aspect you have to obviously do, especially if you found that you were in your negative net worth, or you're owing more money than you actually have, is that you have to commit to paying off your debt. It's a significant burden and can prevent you from achieving your financial dreams. Start paying off your debt now. It's very important, and you have to just check how you can manage that by looking at your income. If interest is stealing your money from you, you have to make sure that you start reducing it. Commit to a plan. It's another planning aspect. I think we looked at it earlier, that you have to plan to pay off your debt. And you plan by assessing how much you can commit to that debt financing plan. And you need to have goals for it. You might create a one-year plan in which you're going to actually make sure that you clear your debts. But of course, we can mention that it's not all debt which is bad, but certain debt, especially if it's usually for consumption and not for productive activities, meaning that it's good to, yes, get a loan and put it in another venture which can earn you more money. That is fine. But if your habit is to get loans and just use them in a consumption manner, or use it on things like food, and which will not build back your investment, then you are in a bad position. You might want to rethink that position. Small savings add to big money. Sometimes, or many times, people think that they don't have enough to save. And that is a myth that we want to debunk today. There's no such thing as small saving. And let's look at an example. If you drink, for example, a Coca-Cola or a soft drink for 10 kwacha every day, you might want to cut that out. If you decided that you will maybe take more water, take more tea, or you just decide that I will not be buying a soft drink every day, you are actually going to be saving a 10 kwacha every day. And that 10 kwacha, if you manage to save it over a year, it will come to 3,650 kwacha. And if you put that 3,650 kwacha into a savings account or an investment account, such as a unit trust, which is if it's earning 22% per annum, this example was created when it was earning that amount, you might want to replace that with the current amount because these can change. It could be maybe 18% at the moment, average. You then would grow your funds. Let's assume that is 22%. You find that you will grow your funds to 4,453 kwacha in that year. And if we assume that you never touched that money, kept it in that unit trust account over 10 years, it will come to 26,000 thereabout. So that is just an example of what you can do to look for money that you can save, depending on your goal. And if you had the goal to, for example, save 30,000 kwacha in 10 years' time, this is how you can find the money to raise that 30,000 kwacha in 10 days. So it could be anything. You need to look at your current expenditure patterns and where you can save. And many times you'll find that there's many ways that you can find that money or where you can cut your expenses. Another way to look at it is to find ways to earn more money. And these are popularly known as side hustles. We can get enterprising if we can. If we have that skill and gift, we can put our skill into action and do some business and make some money to find that 10 kwacha, to raise us 30,000 kwacha after 10 years. And of course, your goal might be to actually come and put your child into university. A child who's born today will probably be going for a master's degree or be getting married in 10 years. 10 years time would probably going into secondary school, senior secondary school. So that 30,000 can be put to use like that, if that is your goal. And that is how you just align your key life events to your financial planning. You can read up some more on that, and of course, the resource that I just shared. The next aspect is to stay organized. You need to stay organized as you do your financial planning. Setting budgets, goals are great, but these efforts are often futile because people are not so organized about it, and they often forget about them. We make the resolution in January, we do our planning, we have ambitions, but we get to forget about them and put them aside or never just revisit them. So it's very critical that you take a step to meet your financial goals by reviewing your financial goals, which takes me to almost the last slide. It says, review your investment accounts. If you are already investing, you are on the right track. Congratulations. But you need to watch out for how your investments are performing. There's things like we don't see many times, things like fees, management fees. It is not very often that your fund manager or your investment advisor talks about their fees. But remember, they're not doing business for free. They are actually making money. They are in the business to make money by actually helping you invest. But then as an investor, you need to undertake your due diligence, understand the impact of those fees on your investments. You might also want to understand the impact of tax on your investments. Is it making sense after tax is deducted? And what other ways can you use, or in your investment portfolio, what other products can you put that are actually probably tax-free? You might want to know that if you invested in shares and you get your dividends, they are actually tax-free. So you might want to have a combination of different investment products that are offering you different advantages and helping probably to cancel out other negative aspects or aspects that are bound to reduce your income in another portfolio. And of course, I've used the term diversification because it's one of those things that we encourage investors to do, is to ensure that as you are planning, you're not only planning to invest in one investment product because of risk management. You might want to invest in different assets or asset classes so that should there be any shock in one of the investment asset or in the one of the investment products that you've undertaken, you're able to be cushioned by another area, another class which is doing well. And so that is why it's very important that you watch or you review your investment, the performance of your investments very often. It would be nice if you have planned for the year, you can do it maybe every quarter. And again, yeah, every quarter is a good one. And after, of course, the year, you must review what happened to your investments. Did you actually meet your goals? And are you happy? Are you on track? Do you need help? Knowledge is very important. You need to be aware of where your money is going so you do not lose it because you did not know. So now is a great time to get a little education in investing, start making those changes in your life. I would like to just commend you for coming because that is exactly what you're trying to do. Just to put emphasis, if your New Year's resolution, of course, was investing, and of course you have other resolutions, and it would be nice if this would help. If that helped, and you must consider that you must consider the fact that your financial goals are there to help you become financially well off or financially healthy. We do have a Bible verse there that is just emphasizing the need to watch your investments. It says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So we must not be shy about our investment. It's our hard-earned money. We must watch it and also watch out for things like fraud and scams. And nowadays, these things are happening a lot, and those who are scammers will not stop. They are always there. They will promise you a whole lot of things, and most of the time they come with proposals that are too good to be true. You need to look out for that as an investor who is smart and make sure that our investments work for us. Incidentally, or interestingly, we have the Financial Literacy Week coming up again. This is the week where we up or increase the volume on financial education as a financial sector. We are actually led by the Ministry of Finance itself, Finance and National Planning, and all the regulators rally behind the Financial Literacy Week to ensure that the Zambian citizens do get to appreciate what priorities or what importance is attached to getting a financial education and becoming financially literate. And the good news is that you joined this webinar because it's talking about planning. So in the Financial Literacy Week 2024, again, it starts with planning your money. And this time the emphasis will be to secure your future. And with that, this presentation has come to an end, and I'm sure that Tichone will open the floor for discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dingase, for that amazing presentation. I learned so much personally. And I love how you pointed out with one example of how it's important to cut down costs. And part of cutting down courses. For example, just a simple example, to learn how to carry packed lunch instead of constantly eating out. I mean, it is the small things that matter that accumulatively add up to big results, both positively and negatively. Without much ado, there are some people in the comment section. I think there's a question concerning the sharing of the presentation. I believe Amos Musosa is really appreciative of what you presented and would like us to share the presentation. Please be assured, Amos, that the presentation will be shared immediately after the meeting. And then we have Mark Mfola. I see you have raised your hand. Please, you can go ahead and I have enabled you to speak. You can ask your question.
I'd like to just find out how one can acquire the process of being a financial advisor. Like, what's the process like to being a financial advisor? Yeah, I know it's out of topic, but I appreciate the teachings which have taken place. Thank you.
All right, Mark, I stand to be corrected. You are asking how one can go about becoming a financial advisor?
Yes, maybe the process of acquiring a license, you need to do a certain course or what? Yeah.
Okay. Ingase, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mark, for that question. Of course, like you rightly put it, a financial advisor is a state licensed professional. And what that means is that you have to meet a certain requirements for the sake to license you. And some of the requirements is that you need to be found to be fit and proper in terms of your professional qualifications, as well as certain background checks that the SEC is going to undertake to ensure that you can advise clients in accordance with the ethics and regulations within the market. There's a list of requirements which you can access on our website, or we can actually have a side chat after the webinar. We can link you to a desk officer who is going to run you through all the requirements that you must meet in order to be awarded with that license. I hope that helps.
Yes, that really helps. I would really love to have that every person.
Sorry, I wasn't able to hear clearly. I don't know, Strana, whether you did.
Mr. Mark?
Yeah. Yes. I was saying that I've gotten what the madam has explained, and yes, I would really love processes and how they are gone, and maybe have a chart on what is required of me to
Yes, of course. And for everybody else, if you went to the website, the SEC website on www.seczambia.org.zm, you will find a checklist under the licensing. You need to go to where it's saying licensing. You will find a checklist, and it will take you through what is required. But of course, you're welcome to speak with us on a one-on-one for clarity.
Okay. All right. Noted.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for your question. Yona, I see your hand is also up. Please, you may go ahead and ask your question. You have been unmuted. Okay. I would like to believe Yona should be working on that. But in the meantime, let's go to Tennyson. You may please go ahead and ask your question. Tennyson, you've been unmuted. You can go ahead. Okay. The next person is Paul Nkumbula. You may please go ahead and ask your question. You've been unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Paul, you may go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, good. I just wanted to find out mutual funds in Zambia because I've been trying to understand the difference between unity trust and mutual funds. Are they the same or they are quite different? And do we have mutual funds that are diversified in nature and not ones that are just focused on one investment option, let's say real estate and all those things? So that's what I wanted to understand.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Paul, for that question. Mutual funds and collective investment schemes or unit trusts very almost one and the same. Really, they're the same, and they underpin the fact that they are a pool of funds brought together by a fund manager from different investors. So they are pooled and therefore mutual. So they can be interchanged in terms of how you, depending on the jurisdiction, and you find that perhaps in other markets, they will call them mutual funds. In our market, we call them unit trusts or collective investment schemes. There'll be different types, and also due to different features that come to them, but really the vanilla product of it is a mutual fund. It's the same. In terms of diversified in nature, you will find that a fund manager will have different asset classes, and you might find that you have a property fund, meaning that the fund manager will be if you go into that that class of the funds or that fund for property under the mutual fund, the fund manager will be investing in property and will register as such, and the performance of that fund will mirror what is happening in the property market. If you go into the equity fund, the fund manager will have pledged to you that they'll invest your money in equities. So it will mirror the performance of the equity market, like an index. So if it doesn't, if the equity market is not performing well, you'll find also your investment under that fund will not perform as well because it's mirroring what's happening in the equity market. You can also have a Forex fund, and of course it will then also, but they also have what is known as a balanced fund. And that is where you find diversification strategies taking place. So it is up to you, and also up to, depending on your risk appetites and or your investment strategy, you might want to understand the funds that the fund manager has and subscribe to one of them. If you are of course, I'm not an investment advisor. You might want to be engaged with one to really help you understand where you might fall or you have already done your research. But usually those who go in the balance are trying to balance the risk, because that balanced fund will have funds maybe in other asset classes that the fund manager is allowed to invest in. I hope that helps. I have colleagues on board. If you would like to add to that answer, please do.
Thank you. I think that's clear.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Paul. The next person I'm seeing is Miss Evelyn Chimwasu. Please, you may go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. My question is for someone that wants to start investing in bonds. I recently found out that there are 3 ways one can do that: either the Bank of Zambia, or the Securities and Exchange Commission. So what I wanted to find out was, are there any differences on the mode that you use? Kindly clarify on that, and if at all there are any advantages of using one or the other. Thank you.
Thanks, Evelyn, for that question. First and foremost, you cannot start investing through the Securities and Exchange Commission. We don't do that. The Bank of Zambia handles government securities. They've been given that mandate on behalf of the government. They are the ones who manage government raising of funds through government securities or the bonds and other instruments such as the treasury bills. The bank is what might be very close associated with the SEC, because when you are investing in the bonds, government bonds through the bank, you're in the secondary market. And the secondary market is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It is not, the SEC is a little bit different from the way Bank of Zambia does it. It does not go in there. We just regulate. We just provide oversight to ensure that that market is regulated and performing according to regulations. And of course, our interest is to safeguard the interests of investors in the market. The differences might just be through fees. Of course, when you're investing with through the bank, first of all, when you're investing at primary market directly, when the Bank of Zambia is at IPO level, is at issuance, they will auction. They call it an auction. They will charge you a fee, like maybe a 1%, something like that. I'm not sure. You might want to verify. But when you go into the secondary market, the banks will also charge, meaning that if they are also charging 1%, you will now be charged. You will now incur a 2% on that trade. And that is where I think the difference will come. But I would again ask for my colleagues to especially if there's something that can be added to your answer. But as far as I know, the reason the banks would tell you there's not much difference. And the goodness with the bank is that you can approach them anytime, because it's a secondary market, meaning there are investors who are offloading the bonds at any one point. And you can uptake. You can take up those bonds. So you can trade any time. Whereas with the Bank of Zambia, you have to wait for the auction. And you have to watch the issuance calendar, which they have every month. And you can only trade with the bank when the Bank of Zambia is the one doing the auction at that particular day, on that particular day. But the secondary market, which is with the banks, you can approach them anytime and buy a government bond, which has the same features as which is simply the same product. but the market is there to facilitate that you can trade anytime. And those are the things that the regulators will do in the back office to ensure that investors like yourself find efficiency in the market. So you can actually buy a government bond anytime you are ready, not just by waiting for the auction. Okay. I hope that's okay, Evelyn.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Evelyn, for that question. We can take on another question. I'm seeing Saka Sokontwe in the comment section. Saka asks that kindly guide how a not-for-profit membership subscription association can invest in mutual funds or investment schemes. Then Saka further asks, is it possible to have an audience with someone at SEC for investment advice?
Saka, thank you for your question. Both questions actually are pointing to you needing an investment advisor. You can't come to SEC for investment advice. We license investment advisors because they'll give you that professional and independent advice. We simply ensure that they are fit and proper to advise you by giving them a license. So the advice we have is that you find an investment advisor. Again, you can find, perhaps you already know some of them, but you can find a list on our website for these professionals, and they will advise you how you can go about investing that not-for-profit fund in some of these instruments that are in the capital market. And yeah, we really can't provide investment advice. We don't do that. We have to be actually seen to be fair, because when you're providing investment advice, those who do that will point you to various providers of these funds, and us as the SEC, we regulate all of them, so we have to be fair to all of them. We can't point you to any one of them. You just have to do your due diligence by ensuring that before you find one, you have gone around the market and made sure that the ones you find are going to meet your needs, are the best that are suited to meeting your needs. So you'll be looking for whether they are licensed, and is that license a valid one? You must check on our website or check with us. You can always go and find out if that license they showed you is actually valid, because it might not have been approved for various reasons, because we are constantly checking on them and seeing that what they are doing is compliant to the securities regulations. And if they've abrogated them, it could be for very grave reasons, and you may not want to be advised by such investment advisors. You also have to check their fees and the impact on your investment. So you need to be asking those questions as much as possible with everyone that you approach. What is the management fee? What's the impact on the money you have? They are really licensed. The licensing regime is very, very strict. It ensures that those who are advising are taking care of client interest. So they shouldn't advise you to invest in a wrong product, for example, that does not meet your needs. And if you're saying you're not for profit, I don't know what rules come with that not for profit. You might want to match it to your investment goals that you have. But otherwise, yeah, this is where we end. We don't advise. Thank you.
Thank you, Dingase, for that comprehensive response. I'm sure it touched so many angles, and for any questions that may be similar, I hope you got the bottom line that we are unable to offer investment advice. If you are in need of those investment advice, you can access it on our website. A link has been shared for the Securities and Exchange Commission website. In the interest of time, we see that time is not on our side, but I will just allow this one question, seeing that it touches on something that recently happened. The question comes from Tennyson. Tennyson asks, if he's gotten you clearly, did you mention that there are 3 bonds, government, corporate, and municipal bonds? Then he asks further, recently, CEC launched what they were calling green bonds. Are these green bonds as good as corporate bonds? That's the question Tennyson is asking.
Yes, Tennyson, thank you again for that question, Tennyson. The green bond is as good as a corporate bond because it's issued by a corporate entity. It is green because it has features of the project that they want to, the proceeds they are going to use that from those funds that they raise are going to be mitigating issues of climate change, for example, and other sustainable financing issues. There are categories. There is what is known as classification of bonds. The basic is the same. A bond is a bond. It's a debt. But for what it is raised for, it will be classified in a certain manner. What is also known as, I think there'll be classifications like a taxonomy, where those who are raising, like we know already that most of us know that there's a move towards greening or mitigating climate change, and everybody is coming on board. So the financing of those strategies has taken on a very strategies that are going to mitigate or help with climate change issues, have taken on a very aggressive approach. There's a lot of institutions or investors that have put up money that is going to be used by those who are joining in doing projects that are going to help with reducing the amount of carbon in the atmosphere and such things. So yes, you are right when you said it's a corporate bond, but the proceeds and for what they're used for are what are classified and classified to ensure that they actually are used for that exact agenda, that is to green agendas of different objectives. Anyway, it could even be for social impact. Maybe it's going to help uplifting a certain sector of society, and that can also be one of the categories classified as green, because it's going to have positive social impact, and in this also positive environmental impact. So there are all those matters that are taken into consideration, and they're very strict about it. So it has to be classified like that. And we do indeed applaud the CEC for having issued that green bond, because we are seen in a very positive sense as a market by investors all over the world that are looking to invest, or to those economies or markets that are participating in providing platforms where such funds can be raised. Yeah. Evelyn is that a new hand from Evelyn?
I think it's from the old
Okay.
the old question she had asked.
There's questions I see here. I think we can quickly go into them and I know that we'll soon be closing. Someone is asking for templates, which are already made. I think this is for planning. No, we don't have templates. You can customize your own, or you can look for these. Remember, we encourage that you do research as much as possible for on these topics. This was just a tip of the iceberg, really, and you'll find quite a lot. There are a lot of advanced markets which have created these templates and created investor education portals, which you might want to explore for yourself and see if you can actually customize it to your needs. We also are desirous of creating an investor education portal. Perhaps I think we did attempt to do that as a sector. It is something that's still on the cards. We might do that just to help with those who would want to have such templates. And yes, they're very useful. I agree with you. Yeah. We also have another question. Madam, I go to Claire. Did you mention 3 bonds, or this is the one that Tennyson asked? Don't see any other, let's see, or the Saka asked also. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Do we have some from Facebook?
From Facebook, none that I know of. None that I know of. Just people inviting their friends to join in on the presentation.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have just one final question.
Yes.
When is SEC going to implement an online market monitoring? Because we've seen other markets in the US, they have real-time market monitoring systems and platforms where we can able to monitor these various exchanges. So I was wondering if we could have the same here in Zambia.
We do have a surveillance team that would be very well placed to answer to that. What I can say as far as possible is that there's a systems, the Security and Exchange Commission is looking to acquire systems that can help with the aspects like market monitoring that you're talking to, surveillance systems, and so on. There's a number of things that they do to monitor, but in terms of buying that or getting that tool, I would like if there's anybody from the surveillance desk to help answer that question. Not sure if that would be Gertrude or Leah. Are they?
Gertrude, are you in a position to answer the call? Trying to. No, I think she's dropped off. She dropped off a while back, I think. There's Mr. Nonde. Okay, Mr. Nonde, I see you. Go ahead and speak, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. I'm not quite clear what the question is, because I think there's 2 aspects that I got. So what Dingase spoke to is what we as the regulator are looking to acquire, which is a tool that helps us enhance how we surveil market activity on exchanges such as the Lusaka Securities Exchange. So every regulator worldwide surveys the activity that's going on the market. And that's really to identify any misconduct that may be happening on those markets. We also do the same for other sectors of the market around, for example, around your mutual funds, and so on, because we're always trying to look out for people that are doing harm to the market. So right now we do a lot of those processes manually, but the systems that Dingase spoke to are meant to automate all those processes and also to increase the scope of the surveillance activities that we are doing to an extent that we will then have real-time surveillance of the market, as opposed to the moment someone tells you manual, it means that it's mostly post the transaction happening. But with real time, it means that as and when the transactions are happening, if there's anything suspicious that we think we need to take action in order to protect investors, then the real time systems really kick in. But as an investor, if you talk about a system, I think that's a question that we can put across to our one operational market, which is the LUCE. Because I know that on a daily basis, the LUCE shares information in terms of market activity. So if you contacted the Lusaka Securities Exchange and provided them with your email, on a daily basis, you'll be able to get a report that tells you what has happened on the market. And it's quite a lot of information. And it's very similar to the information that you see on global exchanges and so on, because it will tell you the movement in stocks, it will tell you the movement in the index, it will tell you what has happened on the various counters, whether it's equities, whether it's bonds, and so on. So for purposes of your personal investments, and you want to see how the market in which you have invested in, if for example it's the LUCE, then I would direct you to go to the LUCE and just have a conversation with them. It's very easy. You call their trade desk, you share your email with them, and they'll start sending you the reports on a daily basis. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, I think it's partly answered. I think my main concern was on real time in comparison with other markets where we see real-time information. And also because I've observed that in Zambia, most of these market movements, they're not very frequent. Like maybe if you check on a daily basis, you find that there's very more differences in terms of price changes. So yeah, that's what I was referring to in real time.
And I think what you speak to is the nature of our market as well. So our market is really still in a developmental stage. So what you tend to see is our prices take quite some time to reflect investor sentiment. So I can give an example. For example, in the US, if Google had a glitch in their system, any of their products, you will see that reflected almost immediately in their prices. And all the market indices that where Google sits in, you'll see all the investment analysts will be telling you that this index has been affected by Google, which has dropped because there's a glitch in either a new product and so on. But you don't see that kind of commentary with the Zambian market. And the simple reason for that is we don't generally price in our investor sentiments in the price of the stocks that are listed on the Lusaka Securities Exchange. So it's more to do with market dynamics really than us having an on-site or a real-time surveillance tool. And for me, what is encouraging by your question is you've noticed it, and hence why you are asking, because you'd expect that if there was good news about a stock, you'd expect it to reflect in the price on the LUCE. But sometimes that doesn't happen. It takes quite a while for that to be priced in.
All right, thank you very much. Things clear.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Paul, for that question. And thank you, Mr. Nonde, for responding accordingly. That was very comprehensive. At this point in time, I would just like to humbly remind anyone on call that we have our deadline that for the World Investor Week Tertiary Institutions Essay Competition that was extended to 31st January. So if you know anyone who is currently in any tertiary institution, this is the right time to invite them, extend this invitation to them, and encourage them to participate in this essay competition. The top prize is 10,000 kwacha, followed by the second prize, 7,000, and third prize is 5,000 kwacha. Your participation will definitely be appreciated. Unless there's anything else Dingase would like to add to this reminder.
Yes, I think just perhaps to mention the fact that when we have the youth participate in such competitions, we're really empowering them. It's part of our financial education agenda to help or to have as many people research about important topics as these which we have put up on the essay competition. So if they do, they really gain the knowledge and the interest and the knowledge to start investing, and also the wise habits to help them avoid fraud and just to help them gain maximum benefit out of their investments. Remember, really a developed economy cannot become one, or we cannot even achieve the visions such as the Vision 2030 to become a middle income country if people are not financially literate. So please, if you're in school yourself, participate. If you have a child, a friend, like Stone has said, help them to be a winner. Even if they don't win the prize, they'll be a winner in terms of knowledge. And we just wish everyone all the best. The prize is quite good. It's just really a sweetener anyway to participate. And we hope that once they do, we help them if they wish to onboard onto certain products in the market, investment basics and so on. So please participate as many as you can get. That will be very good for everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dingase, for your presentation. Thank you for all the questions that came in and all contributors that is those who responded to the questions. At this point in time, we'd like to end the town hall meeting. Please tune in for the next one in February, same day, last Thursday of the month, and same time, 15 hours to 16 hours. Thank you once again for coming through, and enjoy the rest of your day.